Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. Today, we're getting into budget, but not the kind of budget you're thinking of. We're not talking about money. We're talking about budgeting your time. We're talking about how you manage the time that you have and where you allocate it to. And before we get into that, I just want to say thanks for tuning in, allowing me to be a part of your journey. I'm so excited about the direction that the podcast is taking this year. There has been some incredible guests already with so many just fantastic takeaways, and it's been a challenging year because I've ramped up to dropping an episode once every single week instead of the doing every other week like I was before. So it's been a lot more production, a lot more content, a lot of great guests, and there's a whole lot more exciting people to join the show coming up here soon. So just thank you all truly for participating in the conversation. When you get online and you drop your thoughts and you drop your questions and you send messages about how episode impact you, it really means the world. Because my why is being able to make an impact and a difference in people's lives, right? And so it just lets me know that I'm truly living in my purpose because I'm getting the feedback in real time that it's impacting people's lives. So what do I mean by budget? I mean, first, let's talk about it from the money standpoint. Let's really get clear on the budget piece. So I love to think about Dave Ramsey. He's a fantastic podcast host, author, but his baby steps to financial peace are such a easy to understand way to think about how you approach getting your finances right. And that first step is we're getting on a budget so we can get debt free, right? And so what he does for a budget, I love it. It's called an every dollar budget. That means you look at every dollar that you have coming in and you give it a home. Every dollar has to have a name to it. So I know what expenses I have every single month, and that's where money is going to. Anything that I have to spend money, my needs, my necessities, I'm going to make sure that I allocate the amount of money that needs to go to those things. And then we look at what is left and what can we save? What are our wants? What giving can we work in? Charitable donations or giving to church or whatever it is. And so you look at all of the different things in your life and you assign where every dollar that you earn is going to go. And by doing that, you're able to gain better control, but you're able to tell your money where to go instead of just allowing your money to come in and poof, disappear. Because that's exactly what happens. If we are not telling our money where to go, we just end up at the end of the month with more wants and needs than we have money to fulfill them. And we're sitting here asking where did our paycheck go? But when you look at a budget, you don't have to ask where did my paycheck go because you have assigned where every dollar is going to go to. And then it's about having the discipline to stick to that budget, right? And so I love using that metaphor when I think about time. And the reason that I wanted to talk about that for today's episode is because I was talking to a coaching client of mine and I was like, what does your calendar look like? We're talking about the things you need to do, but the majority of the things that need to be done were not on his calendar. And I was like, bro, how do you plan out a day? Let's talk about, I was like, let's look at your work schedule. When you're at work, do you put things on the calendar? Yeah. Yeah. When you have meetings that go on your work calendar, why aren't you doing that for your personal life? If you're doing it for work and that is how you are effective and productive, why are you not going to continue to take the same effective and productive habits home with you for your personal life, for the things that you're working toward, right? That calendar is your budget. It's where you tell your time to go so that your time doesn't just poof like the money did. So that you don't end up trying to figure out where did all of my time go. You are intentional and understand where every bit of time that you have is going. Why am I talking about this? Because I consistently say time is our most valuable asset. even more so than money. We cannot get more time. The time that we have, once it's gone, it's gone. It's not coming back. Money, we can get more of. There are ways to earn more money. We can't earn more time. We just have to be efficient and maximize the time that we have. That is why it's our most valuable asset. So if you're going to be intentional about getting your money right, and we're going to set this budget, why are you not being as intentional with your time? Why won't you set a budget for your time? Use your calendar effectively and be intentional with where your time's going, right? And so this is how we do that. First off, think about the things that you have to do. What are the recurring things that you need to do in your schedule? So you can go ahead and block off, like, how much time you're going to spend at work and commuting to and from work. Boom. Block that off in your calendar. This time I know I got work going on. That's not where I'm able to really put personal stuff. Then what's left? Now I know I'm trying to sleep 8 hours a night if I can. I would like to. I don't always get to. But if we're really talking about how high do I want to prioritize sleep, if that's right up there with necessity, I need to go ahead and block off 8.5 to 9 hours. If I know I want to get 8 hours of sleep, that means I need to be in the bed, winding down, ready to hit that pillow so I can get my 8 hours, right? And if I block that off, now I can look at, I've got my sleep prioritized and planned. I've got my work prioritized and planned along with commute time. What else is left, right? Now with the rest of the time, kids got practice. We got to make sure we're getting them to practice. That's multiple nights a week. Now what's left? I'm making sure I'm getting in some gym time, right? So where do I fit in my gym time between sleep and between work? What you start to see is I'm not always getting that 8 hours of sleep. And I'm willing to sacrifice for temporary times or for short seasons where I do a little bit less sleep so that I can make sure that I'm still being intentional with the other things that I want to do, right? And so I'm making sure that I've got a very intentional training plan and that I'm sticking to my exercises. And so there's days where, because I want to maximize my family time, or I want to work on something for the podcast, or I'm coaching a client, then that means I got to get up like 3, 4 a.m. in the morning so I can hit the gym super early and be done with it before work, right? So I sacrifice a little bit of sleep, work that in, hit work, and I'm able to do the other things that I need to do in the evening before bedtime. And now here's the thing. There's always, it'd be awesome to just be able to do everything in the world that you can do. So what you have to do when we're looking at this is list out your priorities. Like, what's really important to you? If you list out the priorities, then as you are planning and putting things in your calendar, if you're like, all right, sleep's really important, but if I sleep my 8 hours, I'm not going to get any family time tonight. I'm not going to be able to get my workout in, and I'm training for races right now, and I need to be able to get that in. So do I take an hour or two less of sleep so I can make sure I get that in tomorrow? Yes, that's what I'm doing. Everybody's schedule is different, and I'm only sharing my, pieces of my story and my journey to try to help you think about how it applies to you, right? So how are you going to budget your time? List out your priorities. Got everything down. Now, look at the calendar. Block off the must-dos. Now, as we're looking at what is left, when we're putting things on the calendar, all you have to do is look at your list of priorities. What's the most important? If I have to decide between two things, like the friends want me to hang out tonight, but I also, have something else planned or should be doing this or X, Y, Z, fill in the blank, which one is higher on your priority list? Sometimes I'm going to have to say no to the friends. Sometimes I'm going to have to say no to something that sounds super fun. Maybe even way more fun than what I have planned, but what I have planned is something that's a high priority. So even if the part of it isn't fun, it's intentional towards something that matters to me, right? So we've got our priorities, we're thinking about what's important, and we fill in the calendar. And when you do that, You don't run out of, time in a day. You know where every day went, and you finish your days off feeling fulfilled because you stuck to your time. I got to throw one more thing in. There are days where unexpected stuff happens, right? Especially when you have kids. And so we do have to keep in mind that things are going to happen. What does my man Dave Ramsey have? An emergency fund, right? You need to have some backup so that when life happens, you are not setting yourself back or having to go back into debt or like not having the money to respond to that emergency in the moment. So once you get your budget set, you're building up that initial $1,000 emergency fund so that you have something to lean on as you are working toward paying off your debts, right? So when it comes to our time and our schedule and our calendar, really there's not we can't just build up extra time. Okay, so we don't exactly have an emergency fund, but we have to be prepared for life's unexpected stuff, the things that are just going to happen that we have no control over. Now, you can get frustrated that you don't have control over those things and that they are messing up your schedule and your calendar, but then what you're actually doing is throwing more time and energy away on being frustrated about something you have no control over, right? So accept that those curveballs are going to get thrown at you. Take them as they come, right? And be flexible, like adjust the schedule. That might mean one of my priorities have to get knocked off the list today. But because I have a list of priorities, it's easier to say, okay, what can I move or take out today? And maybe another day I prioritize that higher since I did have to take it off today. Okay? So it's all about being flexible and adaptable, because even when we tell our time exactly where we want it to go, sometimes those curveballs get thrown. But when the curveballs don't get thrown and you are disciplined and you can have true trust and confidence in yourself to say, I set this schedule, so I'm going to stick to it. I know why I set this schedule. I know what my priorities are. Now you're ready to take on life. Now, at the end of the day, once you've got those things done, you feel accomplished. You're not sitting there saying like, oh man, I could have got more done today. No, you really couldn't have got more done today because you maximized and were intentional with every bit of time that you had. So now when you're laying in bed at night, you don't necessarily have a million things running through your head like, oh my God, I forgot to do this, or I didn't do that, or I got to do all this stuff tomorrow. No. You don't have to do that because you got everything done that you said you were going to do for the day, and you already have a plan for tomorrow because it's on your calendar. So I want to keep it short and sweet. Set that budget for your time. When you start to do that, you take control of your life, you prioritize the things that matter most, and you stick to it, and you get those goals. I want to thank you all for tuning in, allowing me to be a part of your journey. Make sure you all go like, subscribe, comment with your thoughts and questions to join the conversation, and let's grow.